All right, hello, everyone. It's Silver Kyle, and now I really feel that E3 2017 has begun with the Microsoft conference. I loved this conference. It was like an hour and 45 minutes long, but the cool thing about it was that it was just pretty much game to game to game to game. Love that. They barely talked, and when they did talk, it was more so at the beginning and near the end when they actually had things to actually talk, like that was worth talking about. So, really happy with them. The other cool thing is that they did not rely on Halo, Gears of War, or Call of Duty. None of those were shown except for Gears of War 4. They briefly mentioned it only to say that it's being upgraded for 4K for the new Xbox One. That's it. Awesome. I really enjoyed this for the most part. Not everything was my cup of tea, but I liked a lot of what they showed. They also showed 42 games, 22 of them being exclusive. Exclusive in the sense that on consoles, you can only get this on Xbox One. You can also get it on PC, but in terms of consoles, only Xbox One. So bear that in mind when I do say exclusive. Okay, started off with Xbox Scorpio being announced as the official Xbox One X. They showed the specs for it, going to be the most powerful system on the market, and they'll get more to like the specifics about it near the end. So Forza Motorsport 7 is how they started this as an exclusive. They showed kind of like the game, and it looks okay, but I wasn't astounded from it. But the thing is that I think you're going to really notice it when you're actually playing it on a 4K TV with the Xbox One X. That's when you would see the major differences. So I was like, it looks like regular Motorsport to me. And if I'm playing Forza, I would much prefer to be playing Horizon. Motorsport doesn't really do anything for me. Anyway, they also showed they had a Porsche specifically made for this game or being revealed for the first time at E3. That's kind of weird. Very different. Never seen that before. There's a Porsche. First time ever being revealed for that specific Porsche. And it had like the license plate with Forza. It was different. Not really excited for Forza though. Metro Exodus was the next game that they showed. So it's a new Metro game, finally made for this console of generations. Looks okay, but it's another first-person shooter, and we have tons of those. They showed Assassin's Creed Origins, which I am so happy that they finally gave this series a break of 2 years instead of one. I think that they should continue that going forward, if not maybe 3, because we have so many Assassin's Creed games. And this pretty much looked exactly like any Assassin's Creed game that you would get. New location is Egypt, which is a cool place to play in. And I think this is kind of like going to be its origins, and it's kind of where the Brotherhood all began. So that's going to be kind of cool. In terms of the storyline, they could use a hawk to kind of, figure out where things were and be their eyes up in the air so that they could figure out where they're going to go. But it pretty much is your regular Assassin's Creed type of game. I'm looking forward to it, though. I have a crap ton of other Assassin's Creed games to play before this, though. Next up, they showed an exclusive game that is coming, Battlegrounds, which I might be on PC for before. I'm not sure about this one, but it's basically just a big multiplayer game where you have like this crew of a few people in this vehicle, and you're just shooting a bunch of other people that are also playing. It was just chaotic mayhem. You're just driving around and just blasting people. One person's driving, like your passengers are just shooting everybody else. They had sniping rifles, so they're just driving around, and one guy's using a sniper rifle shooting at a person that's driving towards them, or they're shooting them down with like machine guns. It was nice. It looked chaotic, and I really want to see more from this game. Next up, they showed another exclusive that I think is going to be at launch for Xbox One X, Deep Rock Galactic, which is you're a bunch of dwarves, and you're mining in a futuristic sense because you have flashlights and you have guns. And you sometimes, the deeper that you go into the cavern, you have to go through like zip lines. It was real. The atmosphere of the game looked really fun, and this is kind of what I would want from Minecraft. It's all changing. Like the world that they were going to, the deeper that they delved into this cave or dungeon or wherever the hell they're in, really changed. And they had to be like, okay, we have to flash down our flashlights, figure out how we can get down there, use the zip line here, we'll go down now. And then there's a bunch of monsters at the end. Felt like they were getting overwhelmed with the monsters there. But it looked really different. Cartoonish, yes, but I definitely want to see more from that game. Next up, they showed State of Decay 2, another exclusive. I am excited for a State of Decay 2, but this trailer, they showed more about like the mechanics of like how you would like the different playstyles for this. Wasn't as good as what I had seen previously for this game. But as long as the multiplayer is fun for this game, it looks like it definitely will be. I am down for that game. A zombie game with multiplayer characters running around in an open world. I'm down for that. There's a lot of these coming out now, but this one looks really good. Next was the Darwin Project, which looked like an online multiplayer game where you just battle each other. Kind of cartoonish, reminds me a little bit of Overwatch, but not nearly as good. I'm not really looking forward to that game. Next up was Minecraft, and Minecraft, they had some really cool news. We're finally getting cross-platform servers. You can have somebody playing on Xbox 360 with somebody playing on PS4, with somebody playing on PC, with somebody playing on Nintendo Switch. That is awesome. This is going to be so crazy, and it's going to add so much more life to the game because you can play with anybody now as long as they have Minecraft on some form, on whatever system they chose to play it on. We're also getting, with Xbox One X, an upgrade to the graphics. They've upgraded to 4K, so they look that much better. They don't look nearly like any game should, but it's an HD version of Minecraft, I feel, if that makes any sense. So it's not as pixelated as it was. It looked beautiful. I mean, I like the original look to Minecraft, but this new version looked pretty darn sweet as well. And I'm really excited to be playing with everybody on whatever platform they have. That's just freaking awesome. And then we can all just talk on Skype. Because, I mean, that's pretty much how you're going to play with people on Nintendo anyway. Talk on Skype. Anyway, next up they showed Dragon Ball Fighter Z, a new fighting game for, like a side-scrolling fighting game. Well, a 2D fighter, but not actually 2D. It's obviously 3D. For Dragon Ball Z. Looked alright. Black Desert, another exclusive, which is, I think is coming from PC. And it's an MMO that reminded me of For Honor, but the battle system for this really didn't look that appeasing. I was just like, it looks all right, but they were just like constantly slashing at each other, and it didn't look fun to me. So I don't know about that one. Next up was The Last Night, another exclusive, more like an indie game, retro game. I didn't really. The atmosphere kind of looked nice, but I didn't like the retro 8-bit, 16-bit thing that they were going for. So I don't know about that one. And then they showed the most boring game that I've ever seen. The Artful Escape. What the hell was that? It was a guy wearing glasses, super happy, too happy, overly happy for what this stupid trailer was. And what he does is he smiles, and he walks, and he smiles, and he walks, and he smiles, and he walks, and strums his guitar. That's it. That's the end of the trailer. What did I just watch? What game is that? Why? Why is that every E3 there's something that just bugs the hell out of me? And I'm like, why did they waste my life with that 30-second clip? What is that? Maybe this is something that more people know about what it is, and they're like, no, there's a lot more to the game and it's actually really cool. But from what I saw, goddamn, I would rather play Madden for 24 hours than an hour of that game. What the hell was that? I can't talk about that because that bugs the hell out of me. I can't. Okay. Next up, they talk about Code Vein. What the hell was that? Which is an RPG with vampires, kind of anime style. Looked kind of interesting. Gonna have to see a little bit more about that if I actually will buy on that. I did not mean to do that. I did not mean to say bite with vampires, but anyway, yeah, I don't know if I'm actually going to get that game, but I want to see more from it. Next up, they showed Cuphead, which is actually coming out this September, which is the old school Mickey Mouse 1930s cartoon. It's not actually Mickey Mouse, but the 1930s cartoons game that looks like you're just watching a cartoon, but it's actually gameplay. You're actually playing the game. It's so seamless. I mean, it's not really that hard because it's relatively easy to do those kinds of cartoons and graphics, but it's so seamless that it's really weird, and I do want to check that game out more when it comes out. Next up, they showed Sea of Thieves, and this is exactly... I've been looking forward to Sea of Thieves ever since they announced it, and I've always wanted a pirate game. We've always had other kinds of like eras that they've gone back to, like westerns and things like that. Mostly Rockstar just does amazing open world games. But this is a multiplayer game where you're a pirate, and they had 4 people on a ship manning the ship. And I hope that that's all you need. Maybe even like 2 or 3 people. Like it gets easier the more people that you have on a ship to man it. So they're all working on the ship and doing stuff for it, and then they walked the plank, jumped into the water, went down to like a sunken ship, grabbed some treasure from there. There's sharks everywhere. They had to avoid them. get back on the ship. Then they went to an island. 2 people went on the island. 2 people stayed on board. But then they had to start fighting some skeletons. So one guy like shot himself from a cannon over to them, and the other one stayed to man the ship in case they needed a quick escape or something like that. And then they went and found some more treasure on the island, took it, ran away, and then on the shore, they had the person that was manning the ship just shooting a bunch of cannons at like monsters that were showing up on the shore, so that they could get back with the treasure. And then they get back, and then they start go on the open sea, and then they find other people that are playing the game shooting at them. So they start having this big like ship battle with them, and then one of them shot himself once again over to their ship, started having like a big sword battle with them. It was awesome. It looks like it's going to be so much fun for an open world pirate game that you play with people. I cannot wait, and I think it's coming out in 2018, and it really is too bad, but Sea of Thieves is probably my most anticipated E3 game that they've had this year so far. I mean, they've only had 2 conferences in EA, there wasn't really anything, but yeah, Sea of Thieves, cannot wait. And then they showed Tokuma, which is another exclusive, which is the same people that made Gone Home. Gone Home is more of a story game. I've played it. It was okay. Nothing to rave about. I felt that Firewatch did exactly what they wanted to do with Gone Home, but so much better. I was totally into Firewatch. Tokuma is, I assume it's going to be more so about the story, but what it was a bunch of forms, and they're all different colors, and they're not real people. Didn't look like I was interested in the slightest for this game. Next up, they showed Super Lucky's Tale, which another exclusive that I thought was going to be Conquer, but it's not. And it's a very cartoonish, kiddie type of platformer, but it reminds me of Banjo-Kazooie. And we don't really have a lot of 3D platformers nowadays, especially on other consoles. And I think that it looks like a collectathon. It looks fun to me. Very kiddie though, so I think that not everybody's going to want this and they're going to complain about it. But I think that I'm perfectly fine with this, because there's nothing wrong with having like kiddie games on these systems, because you still have to attract kids. You can't have kids playing Gears of War, Resident Evil 7, Call of Duty. You can't have a 6-year-old playing that, but they can play this game. And it looks like it's a lot of fun. Super Mario 64, Banjo-Kazooie, people love those games. Nothing wrong with this, unless it's an absolute horrible game. And then they showed Crackdown 3 with Terry Crews. He was hilarious. Crackdown 3, I'm okay with, just not super excited for. I will probably pick it up, but much later on down the line when it's like $20 or $30. Then they showed a montage of a bunch of indie games. The ones that I saw that I thought looked interesting were Osiris, Fortnite, Dark and Light, which kind of looks like if anybody remembers Durkan on PS2, that's what it reminded me of, and Conan Exiles. There was like this gigantic statue running around through the city. That looked really fun. Really surprised, and I wish we could have actually seen more from Dark and Light and Conan Exiles. I feel that I would have really enjoyed seeing that in some of the other things that they showed in this conference, instead of like the 5-10 seconds that we got. Then they showed Ashen, another exclusive indie game that was actually in the montage, but they showed more of it. Not really my thing. Life is Strange Before the Storm, so the prequel for Life is Strange, which I still need to pick up. Shadows of War, which is the new Middle-earth game. So Shadows of Mordor was the first one. I liked it. I beat it. Didn't really like the battle system for it, like the actual, like when you're battling. Not the part where you're actually, when you kill somebody, somebody else takes their place. That I thought was really cool, like the chess part of that. And this one, I was like, oh, really another Shadow, like another Middle-earth game? I didn't really need this. But now you can have people join your side. So instead of killing the orc or doing something, you can get them to join your side. And they had this gigantic one that they made him join his side. And he was hilarious. I did not expect any of the humor that this guy was throwing. And I was like, this orc is freaking awesome. He's better than most comedies that I see on TV and on movies. This was great. It wasn't amazing, but I was actually chuckling at some of the things that he was saying. I was like, this is actually humorous. So really surprised with that. And then you can create armies and actually have a legitimate army, like hundreds of orcs coming and working together, and you're just going in an actual war. That was kind of cool, and much more than I expected from this game. Then they showed Ori and the Will of Springs, another exclusive, which is the sequel to Ori, which I still need to play. I have it. I bought it a long time ago, just haven't had a chance to play it. And there's some feels in this trailer. There was a part with an owl, and it looks like, I think that he had like a nest and it was destroyed, and like his baby, like I think there was eggs on the ground, and then it showed like there was 100 places and like nests, and it looks like they were all destroyed, and it was yeah, that was pretty emotional. So I'm looking forward to playing that. Gotta play the first one first. And finally, the last three things, Xbox original games are coming to Xbox One. We are going to have backwards compatibility with that. Awesome. Which hopefully means that Games with Gold will also include now one Xbox original game. That would be freaking awesome. Don't know if that's actually going to happen, but either way, now we can play some Xbox 360, and the catalog for the Xbox 360 games just keeps getting crazier and crazier. That's coming. Awesome. They released the price point for Xbox One X at $499 US, so $500 US, which is about $670 Canadian. Not going to pick that up. I can already play Xbox One games with my regular Xbox One. I'm just going to go with that. I don't need a new system to play the same game with just a little bit nicer graphics. The leap isn't that crazy. It looks nicer, definitely. Am I going to pick up an Xbox One X down the line? Most chances are yes. Just not at $670 Canadian. They might bring it down to $650, but it's going to be up there. And I feel that now you also have PlayStation 4 Pro at $400. And I feel that Xbox might be shooting themselves in the foot again. Don't do this. Xbox 360 did so well against PS3 because PS3 was too expensive. Xbox One didn't do as well because PS4 was less, and also because of the whole thing about what the Xbox One was originally going to do. So they had bad press, plus they were $100 more than PlayStation 4, and now they're once again $100 more than PlayStation 4 Pro. Price point, I think, would $450 would have been better. $400 would have been excellent. I would not have expected less than $400, definitely, but $400 would have been awesome. And last but not least, they showed Anthem, which was the EA game, which is now by far my most anticipated EA game. I'm actually really looking forward to it, which looks like Destiny mixed with being Iron Man. You have these mech suits that you go into that you can customize. And one guy showed up and he's like, "Oh, I see you got a new suit, a new piece." It's like, "Yeah, I got this piece on the weekend." And it's like, "Oh, that's so cool." You just go into this world and get new tech and gear. Very much reminds me of Destiny. The battling didn't look that fun, but when they jumped off the cliff and they were just flying like Iron Man, that looked really fun. And then they went into the water and they were like flying in the water. Well, not flying in the water, but they were going through the water with their jetpack. That was really cool too. And then there was a storm that happened, so they got 2 more people to join up. And then they went into the storm, and then they had to go into this energy field. I want to see what's on the other side of that. But yeah, this game, I'm definitely going to be looking much more into when they show much more of this game. But yeah, I'm now getting excited for this. When they first showed the 10 seconds at the EA conference, I was like, I don't know how to feel about this. The battle system, once again, not that crazy about it. But I think just upgrading your character a lot more will be kind of fun. So I think that the things that I love the most about this, Sea of Thieves, the extended trailer that they had for that was excellent. Really want to see more from Dark and Light and Conan Exiles from the indie games. Anthem, like that. Minecraft in 4K plus the cross-platform. That's cool. State of Decay. The trailer wasn't great, but I am looking forward to that game. Want to see more from Deep Rock Galactic and Battlegrounds. I think that those are the games I'm really looking forward to that are coming from this conference. So I think that Microsoft did an